Hello and welcome back. I'm Kami Kershak and I'm here with Dawn Lane. So tell me, Dawn, you came here in '73, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And you came as a UC student?
That's right. I came from LA to go to UCSC and never left.
And since then you've actually were a part owner or an owner of Saturn Cafe?
Right. I actually started the Saturn Cafe with a couple of friends the year after I graduated from UCSC. It was my way of finding a way to stay in Santa Cruz because otherwise I'm not sure I would have had a job here. So it was my way of creating a job for myself.
Good for you. And so after that you became a city council member.
Yes.
And then now you're the mayor.
Yes.
Okay. And so what do you like most about your job? What do you dislike about it?
You know, what I like, today was such a great day as a good example of what I love about the job, which is I get invited to go to all kinds of places in the community that I would never otherwise see. Mm-hmm. And today I went over to a program, mental health program, where a lot of people with mental health disabilities are getting employment help and volunteer opportunities and just getting a lot of support. Just seeing that program, how successful it is, seeing all the great volunteer energy. Went to a veteran services program later in the day that I didn't know much about, and just got to see great work being done. That's a big part of it, is just having the chance to see parts of the community that I wouldn't otherwise get to see.
Yeah, definitely. Just really become immersed in your community.
Right. The hardest part by far is I just have too many inputs. I get so much email, I get so many documents I'm supposed to read, phone calls, invitations. I really struggle to manage it all.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. So, as a UC student, what were some of your favorite experiences?
You know, I think my favorite experience in the broadest sense is just getting to live on such a beautiful campus. I still think, just think so much about just being able just to walk outside my dorm room and walk around that beautiful campus. There certainly were plenty of other aspects to it that were really enjoyable. I felt like just being exposed to a lot of political and social issues that I hadn't really become acquainted with so much before. That's really impactful in my life too, but just that physical environment and all the things that brought was really what I remember most fondly.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the UC students still feel that same way, which is actually, I think, a huge part of the reason why so many people are having so many problems with the long-range expansion program. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about that?
Right. Well, I know that the key element is that it is a plan to expand the campus northward above where all the buildings are now, and just add new dorms, new buildings, new facilities for the campus. I think I understand, because it is a beautiful forest, why people have a lot of concerns about it. I feel less concerned. I still have some concern, but less concerned, I think, than a lot of folks, because I look at the history of UCSC, and I've seen so much of it grow over the time I've lived here. It's really almost tripled in size in the times that I've lived in Santa Cruz. And I still think the campus is beautiful, even where it is built and where there are new buildings. So I think UCSC has a pretty good record of developing itself sensitively. So I know there's no guarantee of that, but I like to think that there's a reason for hope around that.
So I'm a film student, and recently we watched a film reel of other UCSC students, and I think around '73, that created a film reel about something called Dome City. Do you remember anything about that?
Dome City sounds familiar, but I wouldn't even know why.
Right when the university was still being built, they were building College 9 and 10 and the health center. And because the students didn't want any other buildings being built, they created this kind of off-the-grid system of just sort of dorm rooms, but they were more tent-like. They were kind of tarped, and they felt like they could have the sustainable environment that wouldn't harm the campus at all. And so I just think it's interesting that, that was back when they were building 9 and 10, and now they're wanting to build 11 and 12. And I just think that's, you out of anybody would have some sort of connection with that. Right.
Well, actually, what I remember, which is that back in my time there, and was a lot of concern because there was a maze that had been built by students in the woods sort of near Crown and Merrill, and that was an area that was then going to be College 9 and 10, and there was a lot of talk about that. And then I guess also that area, in that general area, there was another thing called, that was called Elfland, same thing, and people were really concerned about that, and that is in fact where I think College 9 and 10 are now.
What is Elfland exactly?
Well, it was just a part of the forest that a lot of students who really loved being out there just felt like was a magical place, I think, and then they called it Elfland. Cool.
And Santa Cruz is getting a new basketball team, right? So it's a D League, is that correct?
Yeah, D League, but it's I think the national basketball, the NBA, the Professional Basketball League, they made a little mistake because they only have one level of a minor league team, and it's D. It's called D because it's the development league. There is no A, B, or C. There's only D. But I think that doesn't sound very good to most people. It's like D League, that sounds pretty poor. But it's actually a pretty high level training team. It's just a lot of players in that on the development league teams are people who move right into the top level NBA.
So do we have a stadium for them, or?
Well, that's what's been the big project for the city, is there is no stadium yet, but what we're about to do, if everything goes the way we're hoping, is that we're going to, with the Golden State Warriors, build essentially a tent structure, but a serious tent structure, the kind of thing
Dome City.
Yeah, Dome City. There you go. Like Cirque du Soleil sets up when they go to a different towns. So it's a really serious, solid structure, but it is fabric, and essentially build a small basketball arena with that.
And
framework.
That's going to be over by the boardwalk?
Well, it's kind of between the downtown and the beach along the river, so it's closer to downtown actually, in a big parking lot that is used really only in the summer. So, and since the basketball league only plays in the winter, we're going to try to use that spot.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about it.
Okay.
Those kind of things.
So how has the city prepared for the world ending in December 2012?
We've ordered a lot of ice cream, and we're going to be eating a lot of ice cream before then.
Okay, so basically forget the diet, forget the exercise. Okay, and how would you deal with an apocalypse, a zombie apocalypse happening after 2012?
I would probably just end up joining the zombies. I think that's probably the way to go.
Just keep biting at people and infecting others? Okay, cool. So I hear you had an interesting run-in with a sandwich recently.
Right. So yeah, last year sometime when I was having a really busy day and I was just running from meeting to meeting, I had a half an hour break between one meeting. I ran into Taqueria, got something to eat, and was sitting on the steps of the Museum of Art and History waiting for, had like a few minutes to eat that before I could run in to the next meeting. And a photographer for one of the local online media came up to me and I was just sitting there by myself doing nothing, and I was really tired. And he came really close up to me and he just started snapping pictures of me eating my sandwich. And I just said, I was not very, I wasn't impolite at first, but I just said, don't stop taking my picture, please leave me alone. And he wouldn't, and he just kept snapping away and kind of, as he's taking the pictures, saying why he had a right to take my picture since I'm a public figure. And I said, that's crap, that's a load of crap. I'm just sitting here eating my dinner. You don't have a right to bother me during this time. And he just kept snapping away. And so I was almost done, and I just went, just threw it on him. It wasn't really, obviously, it was just a little bit.
Was it malicious?
But it was, it genuinely was out of frustration. I did not do it with a smile on my face, I will say. But anyway, it was, in retrospect, I probably could have just expressed my frustration in a different way, because then he got very upset that I threw the sandwich. I apologized to him later, and we worked it out.
Well, that's understandable. I feel like most of your audience members would have probably done the same thing. So
it was an interesting little lesson in sort of the paparazzi phenomenon.
Yes.
And I actually think that probably, even though he was upset that I threw the sandwich at him, he wanted me to react.
He got a little publicity out of it.
I think the photographers do. They want to they don't want just me sitting there looking happy. They want me to react. And I think he wanted me to react, so he got it. He won.
Well, I think everybody out there watching knows that just from the interview, you're a nice person and wouldn't do that out of any sort of bad humor or anything. Right. So, And now we're going to do a reenactment of Mayor Don Lane here throwing a sandwich at Megatroid.
I just didn't know if you were ready.
Yeah.
Put your hands in the air.
My softball practice paid off.
Far out.
Well, thank you very much.
Sure.
This was Don Lane. Was it good for you?
It's great.
It's great for me too.
Thanks.